but he prefers to be called Mel. He moved to Rochester, Minnesota from Philadelphia, and while there he completed 30 years of service at IBM and 5 years with the United Way. Mel's message and magic has been shared with IBM and United Way, the Mayo Clinic, FAA, UU of Ormond Beach, and the Lions Club of Palm Coast and Rochester, where he was president. He earned his undergraduate degree at Concordia University in St. Paul and a master's from St. Mary's University, Winona, Wisconsin. Mel was the first to receive the You Made a Difference. Mystical Mel Melvin is speaking to us today on Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. Welcome, Mel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I come before you with my hands out and not up. My father was Assistant Director of Customs. He was a U.S. Marshal. He was in the Secret Service, and he trained the first batch of Sky Marshals. I had to toe the line. Yes, he was very strict. There was none of that huggy stuff in my family. But it kept me out of trouble because we knew that any mark against me from the law would eliminate a lot of what I could do in life. Dad had 2 lectures for me. The first lecture was what to do when stopped by a policeman or pulled over by a policeman. The second one was about sex. I just saw somebody wake up. No, I'm going to talk about sex. No. I was taught that when you were stopped on the street to comply at every command and keep your mouth shut. If you were in the car, you held onto the steering wheel where they could see both of your hands. If by chance you had to go into the glove compartment or your back pocket, you announced what you were doing and then asked permission to see it. You addressed the policeman by officer or sir. Young black folks today aren't quite that compliant. They weren't around for Jim Crow, nor were they around for the Civil Rights Movement. They believe their lives matter. You see, I remember the color-only fountains and restrooms. I remember when I rode the train from Philadelphia down south, I had to get off in Maryland and go to the back of the train. I remember when we wanted to go to movies down in, I believe, North Carolina, we had to go to the balcony. We weren't allowed to sit on the main floor. If you think those things are done and over, in a way they are. But you see, that system is woven into our culture. If you don't think so, think about our language. If you can be blackballed, blacklisted, Black Friday, you wear black to a funeral. The only thing good about black is when you're into black for the business. Those times are still with us. I'll give you another one if you think I'm just kind of pulling on the past. You know that cake, that dark chocolate cake with the chocolate icing? They call that devil shooting cake. But you know that white one that's all fluffy? You already know where I'm going with that. The system of language and custom are already in our systems, and it's going to be hard to weed them out. What I'd like to share with you are two stories of what happened to me, so I know they're true. Now, they're from the 80s when I used to work for IBM, but I think they comply to today in what's happening with this Black Lives Matter movement. First of all, I want to tell you, it is not against police. It is not against the white community. It is for raising the dignity of the black community, especially their young men. If we don't do this soon, we are losing quickly the ability for these young people to actually take care of their own lives. They will not be able to go into service. They will not be able to become a policeman. They will not be able to become a fireman. And we need those people. I know, they know. But there's a canyon in between that we must find a bridge to connect. In Minnesota, first of all, I have to tell you, Rochester, Minnesota had 110,000 people. 400 of them were black. Well, predominantly black. And I used to tell everybody who said, I didn't know black folks lived in Minnesota. I said, they don't. I live in Palm Coast now. Vern and I became very good friends. Vern was an Irishman, strong Irish. His last name was Keller, from an Irish family, Irish Catholic family. Somehow we became, like brothers. He took me home to meet his family. I'd take him with me when I would go somewhere. And we had a great time working together because we both were technicians and he was like my mentor. Well, one day we were working on a piece of equipment and we got to talking as usual, a few jokes here and there. And then it was like a shock. He said, oh, it's my wife's birthday. I have to go get her something. I'm not sure what I'm going to get her. So I call myself being the romantic type. I tried to say flowers, candy, dinner. He says, after 16 years of marriage, that don't go. I had to shut up because I was a single guy. A little while later, he said, oh, I know what I'll do. I said, oh, okay, what are you going to do? He said, never mind. I said, what do you mean, never mind? He says, don't worry, I got it. I said, wait a minute. We've been talking now for over a half hour about this subject, and now you're not going to tell me what you're going to do? I may need that information later. He said, well, I'm going to give her a nigger box. What? He said, I'm going to give her a nigger box. Vern, what is a nigger box? You don't know what it is? I said, no, I'm not quite sure you know what it is. He said, it's those radios the black guys carry on their shoulders. I said, a bone box? He said, oh, is that what you call it? I said, yeah, that's what you want to call it. And we had a little conversation about it. And if you think that broke up our friendship, when I had my stroke, he came down to make sure I was okay. Just about a month ago, he came down just to say hi. We're still good friends. And it goes to show you it can happen if we communicate. I was kind of like deemed the diversity person at IBM. And during a certain time, I used to have to go around and do presentations. They were concerned that they weren't getting minorities to come to Rochester. They thought it was just a Minnesota cold. No, that's not it. Well, if it's not the Minnesota cold, why can't Mayo and IBM get them to come to Rochester, Minnesota? I said, do you realize I have to drive 100 miles to get a haircut? I scared the devil out of the barbers here. They have no idea how to cut my hair. Can you imagine the makeup? If black women tried to wear the same makeup as white women, they would look like the Walking Dead. I said, there's so many other little things that are there that are just needed to be part of the community. And so they began to make these changes, and the black population of Rochester began to grow. If you think I'm taking credit for it, I'm not. I'm quite sure there were other people involved in doing it, but I was the one that had to go around and speak to different departments. There's one department I went to, after I had finished giving my presentation, a gentleman came up to me and he says, now I understand. You understand? He says, yeah, you see, my father is a farmer. And on the farm, he had this black guy that used to come help him work the farm. He said, they were very good friends. One day, while I was there, they were talking, and the black fellow said, okay, what are we going to do today? Now, before I tell you the answer, I don't know if any of you have been on the farm. I know I had. He had to explain it to me. That boulders rise up in the field, and you have to go out and dig them up so that you don't ruin your farm equipment. I had no idea that happened. Well, he turned to the black guy, the farmer did, and said, we're going to go out there and get those niggerheads. He said, the black guy turned, went to his truck, and he never came back. When it's in your culture like that, folks, it's not that you're racist people, it is the racist culture itself. It's woven in. The problem, I find, is that we don't take the time, like I did with Vern, to explain. Then the person has a choice. Either they understand and move on, or they keep on the same way. But they can't do that unless they have an opportunity. Black Lives Matter. We're just trying to get the dignity. And without that dignity in our young men, we will fail. They can't even vote if they get a record. And that's what my father put the fear in me about. And that's a whole other story. I'll tell you this last story. Being in Minnesota, I developed this like of Texas blues. Now, I don't know if any of you know of the group. Some of you may not admit you know the group, but it was ZZ Top. Love the ZZ Top. Now, with them was Leonard Skinner. If any of you remember that? From up in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. They came out of Jacksonville. Well, I wanted to see ZZ Top. So I bought a ticket, and I drove 100 miles up to Minneapolis. And when I got there, it was in a big stadium, the basketball stadium. And they had flattened, put out chairs all along the bottom floor. And there were people going all the way around. I think there were 2 balconies, maybe only one balcony. I got in and I was sitting in the middle of the left side, so the stage was there, and I could see the whole floor and all around to the right and up. And it dawned on me, I'm the only black person in here. I started to get nervous. I started looking for maybe a janitor or maybe an usher or somebody. And as the place finally filled up, an announcer came over the PA system and said, I am happy to announce we have 33,000 people in the house. And me, ZZ Top came out and they did a month. Truly enjoyed that show. And just as they finished, I had made a decision, it's time for me to go. I was really starting to feel uncomfortable. I didn't even go to the restroom. And then it dawned on me, wait a minute. You paid for the ticket. Leave it alone. Okay. I've never heard of this Leonard Skinner band. Maybe I like them. Maybe I wouldn't. Intermission was over. Lights went down. And out came this Southern rock band. I cannot remember the first song they played. But I do remember that the lead singer, had a bottle of whiskey in his hand, and he said, we're not going to have any of that rap music. I won't say what he really said. We're not going to have any of that rap music in the house. We're going to take it down home. And right then I really started to get nervous. And then the largest Confederate battle flag I have ever seen unfurled from the very top and went to the floor and filled the stage from left to right. I said, oh God, I'm like a Civil War flashback. With that, the crowd went wild. They started cheering and hollering. These people from Minnesota. And then he started to sing Sweet Home Alabama. They rose to their feet. They got to be singing. And I was sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? Thank you. And I heard my father's voice coming and said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. The melody went up. I started singing Sweet Home Alabama. That's where I want to be. I was ready. The next thing I knew, they put their arms on my shoulder. We're going back and forth. We were having a great time with this music. It was upbeat. We were partying hard. Now, I know these were the salt of the earth type people. I know that they really weren't the money type. They were middle America, blue-collar workers, and probably kind of poor, because I noticed they were rolling their own cigarettes. And then it was so bad, they started to share it as they came down the bar. I inhaled. Now, as that was going on, they did do a nice job. They introduced me to one of their friends, and he's still a friend of mine today, Jack Daniels. Never knew it before. We partied hard. We had a great time. When it was over, they hugged me and gave me kisses and said, I hope we see you again. On the way home, I was smiling and driving, and I could, just like my dad was there, I felt this hit. Right in the back of the head, that old dummy slap. And it dawned on me that in that place, at that time, I was the racist. I was the bigot. I had put in those people my chosen idea of who and what they were. It turned out to be totally different. All lives matter. We are all different. They're like these ropes of mine. There's a short one, there's a medium size one, and there's a long one. Now we can say that some are rich, some are medium, some are really wealthy or not wealthy, or we can talk about the height, we can talk about the color. They're all different. But it's it's when we bring them together in one community and treat them the same, they start to act the same. That's all I'm here. I'm delivered from here. Black Lives Matter.